Hi, I'm Dr. Enette Larson Meyer. I'm an exercise physiologist, registered dietitian, and biomedical researcher at the University of Wyoming. Ghrelin is a hormone that's made by the stomach. It's high when we're hungry and then falls after we have a meal, like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whereas PYY is made by the small intestines and it's low and then rises after a meal. So the two hormones do the opposite. The hormones are thought to be involved in appetite and body weight regulation in humans. So one of the questions that I'm interested in is after women have a baby, some women are more susceptible to retaining that weight and becoming overweight or obese the rest of their life. So I'm interested in whether those hormones change with pregnancy and whether they're involved in body weight retention after childbirth. I run a lot and used to spend a lot of time cycling, and it was really through my own personal exercise efforts that I noticed my appetite was very, very different when I ran compared to when I rode a bike or when I swam on occasion. So when I ran, I felt even no matter how far I would run and expend a lot of energy, I was never hungry and didn't feel like I could eat the energy back that I had just burned during exercise, whereas if I swam, I felt like I could just get in the water and come back and be very hungry. And so I've always been fascinated on why that was. Once I had children, and I noticed that my weight fell off very, very easily, whereas some of my friends who had had babies were really struggling to lose weight. And I wondered why that was. Was it what we were eating, or was there something in the biology that could explain why people struggle to lose weight and why others can lose weight very easily? About 10 years ago, when I was working at the Pennington Biomedical Research Center, they discovered ghrelin, the hormone again that increases hunger. And I thought maybe the jarring of the stomach from doing various different activities, or perhaps not the jarring of the stomach, could release or maybe suppress the release of those hormones. So I became interested in whether it was involved in controlling appetite during exercise. And then interestingly, after I had 3 kids myself, I became interested in whether the hormones were involved in body weight regulation, thinking maybe that the pregnancy process changed how the stomach and intestines release those hormones.
How much do you think you can eat? Nothing at all? A lot?
Every day is different. That's one of the fun things about doing human research. When we have participants, then we usually come in early and we prepare for them. The participant shows up, and on this particular study that we're doing, the participant lies in the bed and rests for a while. We collect resting metabolism measurements from them. I have a registered nurse that works with me, and she inserts an IV line into their arm, and then we draw blood before they have a meal. We give them a standardized breakfast meal, and then we measure their blood every 30 minutes for about 2 to 3 hours. Then we'll analyze the blood samples for the hormones that we're interested in, ghrelin and PYY, and a couple of others that are made in the stomach. What's really fun about that particular aspect is when we have participants, we get to spend time with them and get to know them really well. When we don't have participants, then we're usually entering the data that we collect, we're analyzing the data, and also reading research articles by other scientists to help us make sense of our results. One of the really fun aspects is traveling. So after we're done with collecting the data, we will travel to various different scientific meetings and we'll present our results and meet other scientists that are doing similar research that helps us all, again, put everything together and figure out how these hormones are involved in obesity. I definitely think when you're doing human-related research that you as a scientist get to see the impact more closely than somebody who is doing exclusive lab-related research. I definitely do. I think understanding these hormones will help us understand and maybe help women after they have a baby to lose the weight and maybe maintain a more regular or normal body weight. I also think related to the exercise aspect that I'm interested in too, understanding the hormones and whether they're involved in appetite regulation after exercise will help overweight individuals who are trying to lose weight and incorporating exercise into their weight loss plan and then weight maintenance plan.
On the scale of 6 to 20, can you point out where you're feeling right now? And 11, fairly light.
One of the slogans of the American College of Sports Medicine is exercise is medicine. And I really think exercise and good nutrition is medicine. It helps prevent chronic diseases and keeps you very healthy. I was very involved in 4-H, and I learned about nutrition through my foods project. And when I went to college, I was really interested in another major, but I took my first nutrition class and realized that that's what I wanted to do. I probably should have recognized it earlier, because I found out when I was in high school, I spent a lot of time reading health magazines and learning about nutrition, and I was very fascinated on how different foods and different nutrients that were found in food could impact human health. And I was also very interested, on the other hand, in how regular exercise impacted human health. So I probably knew early on, if I had maybe just listened to, I think, my internal intuition. The life sciences are really key. Nutrition and then the health that you get within your PE classes, as well as chemistry, are all foundations. So this is carbohydrate. This is just sugar. You probably remember C6H12O6. When you get to college, chemistry really becomes biochemistry. So even if you're not interested in sort of the hardcore chemistry in the lab, it is an important foundation. And then again, you get to learn sort of biological chemistry, or chemistry that occurs in the body, in college. So Nikki was stabilized about 32 milliliters per kilogram per minute when she was running at about 70%. And she weighed about 52 kilos, so we'll take 52 by 32, and we'll end up with how many milliliters per minute. Well, I have both undergraduate and graduate students working in my laboratory. The graduate students really run the lab, but the undergraduates come in and they learn all the procedures, and they get very involved in the research. I have two really wonderful undergraduate students that have worked for me the last 3 or 4 years, and unfortunately they're graduating this year. But when I write grants and even write papers, I get them involved in the analytical processes. One of the grants that I received, we submitted to the honey board, and they were interested in whether honey compared to sugar would control body weight regulation and the hormones that I'm interested in, ghrelin and PYY. And one of the undergraduates was involved in helping me determine how we were going to serve the honey. And it was her idea to serve it as peanut butter oatmeal cookies. So we had peanut butter oatmeal cookies that were made with sugar and tea that had honey in it, as opposed to, sugar on the opposite treatment. And what I learned from the granting agency was that that particular way we delivered it was what made the grant stand out. So I really attribute her help in my laboratory, not just coming in and doing tasks, but her help to really getting the grant. I'm just really passionate about what I do, and I love the fact that every day is very different, and that I interact with a lot of people and really feel that I have an impact on human health and disease prevention.